on Prime Crime.
It was very magnetic, like we were stuck to each other. I feel like we were both just kind of traveling the same wavelength.
What should be a joyful first anniversary celebration.
There was a lot of anticipation and excited build-up leading up to this weekend.
Takes a shocking turn.
When we first got the report that she was missing, that was our only question really, is where's Emily?
What happened? Did he kill her? Did she actually run off? What's going on? We're sort of left with a lot of unanswered questions.
And no one is prepared for where the answers lead.
This is so over the top. It's so beyond the pale of anything that we commonly see day to day in homicides. This is a case of overkill.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime, where we break down some of the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. A couple heads into the woods to celebrate 1 year of marriage in their camper van. Candles, music, solitude, everything set for a romantic getaway. But by nightfall, only one of them would make it out alive.
Vermont 911, where is your emergency?
Yes, my name is Spencer Lemons. I've got a guy that is going towards St. Albans on Route 36. He's a friend of mine. Came to my house. He lives in a bus thing. He was like, hey, we go pick up my bus, and we go to pick up his bus in St. Albans, and there's a bunch of cops outside. I said, what the heck is going on? His name is Joseph Ferlazzo, Ferlazzo.
October 15th, 2021, Bolton, Vermont, a scenic mountain resort town.
Joseph Ferlazzo and his wife, Emily, they come up here to Bolton to celebrate their 1 year wedding anniversary. Bolton Valley is just over 1,000 people. It really gives that small, sort of eclectic Vermont feel when you're there.
There was a lot of anticipation and excited build-up leading up to this weekend. It was their maiden voyage in the camper that they had fixed up, and it was also going to be the first time that Emily got to meet Joseph's sister, Nikki. So Emily was really excited about that, as they had been married a year and she hadn't met his family yet.
Joseph was a tattoo artist, worked out of a tattoo shop down in downtown Burlington for a long time.
They met in Vermont and they had moved back to New Hampshire and were living with Emily's parents.
Joseph and Emily had a significant age difference, about 20-year age difference. He is in his 40s. So Emily was a beautiful young woman in her 20s. She had been working as a licensed nurse assistant, an LNA, so she was very big on helping people and caring about people. She was an aspiring cosmetologist, loved to sing, very happy, energetic young woman.
Why was Emily attracted ultimately to Joseph? We know that he was an older man, I guess handsome, talented tattoo artist, but something about him drew her in.
On Friday evening, Emily and Joseph arrive at the Bear Run condos in Bolton. They briefly meet up with Joseph's sister Nikki and her boyfriend, who are staying there in an Airbnb.
After meeting them, they returned to the camper. The plan was that they were gonna get together again with Nikki and her boyfriend and maybe watch a movie or just spend time together. But Emily comes to realize that this same place, these Bear Run condos, are where Joseph actually lived with his ex-wife. And his ex-wife was still living there at the time. So it was pretty upsetting to Emily.
So we know that there was some sort of argument that occurred. There's really no way of knowing exactly what happened.
So the next morning, this would be Saturday morning, they wake up and Joseph goes out to breakfast with Nikki and her boyfriend. They go to a local restaurant in Waterbury called Maxie's. Obviously, Nikki is wondering where Emily is, and Joseph gives her the story that Emily's not feeling very well and she's sleeping in. So after breakfast, they return to the condos, and Joseph drives his camper up to his friends, the Langs in St. Albans. The plan was that Joseph was supposed to give Nikki a tattoo. So they went to the Lang's house as well and spent the day. hanging out there. He did give Nikki a tattoo. At that point, he had said that he and Emily got into an argument and that Emily had found an Uber back to New Hampshire. That night, they went out to dinner and drinks at an establishment up in St. Albans, and then he returned to the Langs and Nikki returned to the condo. Joseph, when he goes to the house in New Hampshire to Emily's parents, he acts surprised that she's not there. Tells them that they had had an argument and that she left. And he thought that she was returning home. Her parents were very concerned, very worried about Emily. She wasn't on her phone, she wasn't on social media, she wasn't interacting with anyone. Very uncharacteristic of Emily to not be in touch with her family and to be sort of unplugged.
David Bass, Emily's stepdad, calls Vermont State Police.
Trooper Cody takes that initial call, and he picked up on a lot of clues in that conversation. He knew that something wasn't right.
Trooper Cody immediately calls Joseph Ferlazzo.
What do we know at this point, I guess? What can you tell me?
She was with me, and she said she was gonna get an Uber. So she asked me to drop her off in the parking lot.
So where did you drop her off?
Any number of other people that could have taken that call might not have picked up on those clues and might have started, a missing person report, but not gone the extra mile that Trooper Cody went that first night after taking that initial call.
So after you just noticed she was gone, you just decided to just leave, I guess?
I drove up and down the road looking to see if she started down the road. And I drove up and down too. Both ways, then I didn't see her walking.
Okay, so you figured the Uber or somebody picked her up?
Yes, said she was getting an Uber.
He was told by Joseph that the van had broken down and that it was somewhere, like a garage down south. So Trooper Cody attempted to establish the whereabouts of the van. He spoke with the Langs that first night, and the Langs said, the van is here in our driveway. So Trooper Cody immediately contacted the St. Albans barracks and had troopers go to the Langs' house to look for Emily.
At the Langs, police do an initial search of the camper van, but don't find Emily inside.
When we first got the report that she was missing, that was our only question really, is where's Emily? Is she okay? And did he do something to harm her?
What happened? Did he kill her? Did she actually run off? What's going on? We're sort of left with a lot of unanswered questions.
So on Sunday night, Joseph drove his Jeep to his friend Spencer's house and asked Spencer, can you give me a ride over to the Langs to pick up my camper van? So Spencer said sure. So they were driving over and they turned onto the road where the Langs lived, and as they drew closer, they saw all the police officers.
And that's when Spencer calls 911.
I thought I was taking him to get his bus. I did not know. Oh my God, it feels like a bad movie. There's 4 cops there. Like, are those cops for you? What is going on? And I said, what is going on? He says, my wife was in, he said, I did something really bad. I said, what did you do? He says he killed his wife.
All right, but he told you that he had killed his wife when you guys were on Route 36, when you were taking him out with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
A shocking alleged admission, to say the least. Did Joseph Ferlazzo just confess to his friend that he killed Emily, his wife of 1 year?
Joseph said to Spencer, turn around, get me out of here. And he said, what is going on? Where's Emily? And he said, Emily's dead.
And he said that his wife is inside that bus. And I said, is she alive? And he goes, no, I don't want to go to prison. If you get on my car right now, I'm calling the cops.
All right, and did he put up a fight when you asked him to get out?
No, he was like, he just started getting fidgety, and I don't know if he's got anything on him. Because I got a family and wife and kids, I don't need this crap around me.
So I think he stopped and let Joseph out of the car. That's when Joseph sort of took off and slept, I believe he said, in a shed. The following day is when police actually encountered him.
In fact, Trooper Amy Nolan happens to randomly catch up with Joseph Ferlazzo in a convenience store parking lot.
I noticed this man walking really slowly, wearing a hood, which, didn't really strike me as odd at that point because it was a cool October day. So I waited for him to cross the parking lot, head into the store, and my fellow trooper and I headed into the store, and I took note that that person had gone right back to the same cooler I was going to. And he had reached in and grabbed a drink, and as he was backing away from the cooler, he turned around and he looked at me, and we made eye contact, and as he rounded the corner, he looked at me again, and that's when it clicked, this is Joseph Ferlazzo. And I followed him outside, and at that point I said, "State Police, stop for a second, I'd like to talk to you." So he stopped and he turned around, and I just said, "Joseph, it's you, right?" I said, "Are you okay?" And at that moment, it was like he completely deflated. And he put his drink down and he said, "No, I'm not okay." And I said, "Okay, well, there's a lot of people looking for you and looking for Emily, and we're worried about Emily." And he says, "Let's go." And I said, "Go where?" And he said, "Wherever you're taking me." And I said, "I'm not taking you anywhere, but I can give you a ride to the barracks and you can talk to one of the investigators." And he said, "Okay."
Is it fair to say that you have an idea of what we want to talk about?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm here to talk to you. Like, you don't have to beat around the bush.
Okay.
I'm sure you already talked to Spencer. I f***ed up. Plain and simple. Like, I had a lapse. And it's something that I can't undo. So here we are.
I think what would be helpful for me is just have you start from the beginning.
So I came to Vermont. I was living in New Hampshire for like the last 2 months with my wife and her family. And I came to Vermont. We were supposed to have like a weekend away, like vacation, do some camping, like have some fun. And like as soon as I like put the vehicle in park, like my wife went completely berserk, like completely psychotic. And I shot her.
He did immediately confess. When Mr. Ferlazzo was first encountered by the police, he admitted to shooting her.
We stopped. Typical, like, got some stuff to drink. I'm trying to like listen to music. I was trying to put some candles on. Some wine. Throwing the candles around, telling them to put them out. Turn the music off. Being like forceful and aggressive with me. It just turned to like punching and kicking and just a lot of hurtful things I can't even remember.
Where was she punching you?
Like in my arm, like kicking me in the groin, like, just like body blows.
Trooper Amy Nolan comes in to take pictures of Ferlazzo to see if he has any visible injuries from the reported attack.
So any marks or bruises that you're aware of?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It was like, I know I got hit in this arm, I know I got hit here, I know I got hit here, I know I got kicked here, but I don't know. No marks.
He claims that she attacked him multiple times. You would think that if she had attacked him, there would be marks on his body. Nothing could be found that would evidence that.
As the interview continues, troopers push Ferlazzo for the truth.
I heard you say that you shot her, so explain how that incident continued.
I don't even know. Like, I just know that I like sat down and like was, I don't know, like something inside my head just like, I remember feeling really warm, and I remember feeling blurry, and I don't know, something inside me said enough is enough.
And what did you shoot her with?
A pistol.
Okay, do you know what kind of pistol?
It was a Glock pistol.
A Glock? Whose Glock is it? Okay, where is the Glock now?
In the bus.
It's in the bus? Okay. Can you describe Emily when you shot her? And what was she doing?
She had stopped fighting, and she had gone and laid down.
and I went and jumped on top of her and I shot her in the head. How many times? 2.
This individual took his Glock pistol, which he had a suppressor for, which is fascinating to me to begin with. What would be his purpose for having a suppressor? Had he bought this with plans to kill her in kind of a quiet way?
What did you do next? Cleaned up and had like an anxiety attack, and I don't know, I think that's that. Okay. Describe what you mean when you say you cleaned up. There was like blood coming out of her head, so I like put a bag over it to catch the blood, and cleaned up. There was blood on the pillows. Just bagged everything up. Okay. What kind of bag? Just trash bag. Like a trash bag. Okay.
It was a strange interview for sure, just the sort of unraveling of details, and the way he really remained quite calm through the whole thing, seemingly pretty emotionless when it came to talking about what he did to Emily.
But what Ferlazzo says next shocks even the most seasoned investigators.
In my 17 plus years as a crime scene investigator, I had not seen a case like this.
Hey, I want to quickly thank Upside for sponsoring this episode of Prime Crime. And if you don't know what it is great. Upside is a free app that gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas, groceries, food. I pump my gas, I can use Upside. Go out to lunch, I can use Upside. Get something at a convenience store, I can use Upside. And why not get cash back when I do all these things, right? This is real, actual cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you transfer right into your bank account. So once you have the free Upside app, you claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. You pay as usual using a debit or credit card. You follow the steps on the app, you get paid. So to find out how much you can earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on screen. But make sure to use our promo code PRIMECRIME because you'll get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas.
When you said earlier that you put the bag over Emily's head, did you just put it over her head or like her whole body in the bag? Now her body's bagged up. Her whole body's bagged up. Describe that to me.
Joseph Ferlazzo describes what he did to his wife Emily's body in graphic detail.
So I cut her body and put it in multiple bags. Okay. Tell me about that. How did you cut her body? I used a saw and cut her body into smaller, wrapped it up, and I was going to take it in the woods. Okay. Where did you do that? In the bus. On the bus? Okay. Where's the saw? On the bus. Where's Emily? In the bathroom.
He told them exactly where she was, and they were able to go in and verify that was the truth, and that's when they ultimately seized the van and brought it back to the barracks for processing.
With Ferlazzo in custody, police do a thorough search of his camper.
So initially upon walking in, we immediately went to the stack of trash bags just to manipulate one to see if it was consistent with what could be a human body part, and it was. And then all of the bags were sent to the office of the chief medical examiner, so an autopsy could be performed the next day. And the team proceeded to process the van. We found that, yes, there were blood stains on the mattress in the camper. There was a saw. There were cleaning supplies, garbage bags. Emily's ring was found in the truck, which I recognized from photos on her Facebook page. So I immediately knew that was Emily's wedding ring. And there were red-brown stains thought to be blood on the ring. There were blood stains in the drain of the shower. We found firearms in the camper as well. A lot of evidence. It was very hard to make that discovery. I just, as a mother, did not want to believe that I had to tell Emily's parents that we confirmed that we found her and that she had been dismembered.
And a discovery during autopsy, something Ferlazzo didn't mention to police, makes it even worse.
As if this case wasn't ghastly enough, something occurred in this case that in all of my years as an investigator, I've never encountered. He withdrew 3 knives from the knife block in their little kitchenette in this camper that they were staying in. Joseph stabbed the remains of his wife 18 times. And the fact that he did it so many times gives us an indication that this is a case of overkill.
I wish it didn't happen. I wish I could turn back time. She was saying how she's like, I'm gonna ruin your life and I'm gonna make sure you lose your license. I'm gonna make sure nobody ever comes to you again. And I was scared and I was hurt. I never thought anybody could push me to that.
He was telling us the truth about what happened, but I think he was saying what he thought he could say to deflect some blame onto Emily. He was arrested the same day. We filed the criminal charges the following day, the first-degree murder, and he was arraigned and has been held since the moment he walked into the police department.
Joseph Ferlazzo pleads not guilty to first-degree murder, and in December of 2024, about 3 years after Emily Ferlazzo's death, the case goes to trial.
We knew he was going to claim self-defense, but beyond that, we had no idea. We did believe going into trial that we had a very strong case. We really just wanted to make sure that we likely had evidence that would completely dismantle that defense.
The state will meet its burden and show beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Ferlazzo was the person who committed this offense, that Mr. Ferlazzo caused the death of his wife, Emily Ferlazzo, that Mr. Ferlazzo's killing of Emily was unlawful, meaning there was no legal justification for it, that he intended to kill Emily, meaning it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't an accident, that he acted willfully, that he acted deliberately, and that he acted with premeditation. And we will be asking you to return a verdict of guilty.
When a case seems so winnable, it can be a sneaky, difficult task to take on a case like that because you don't want to let the victim's family down. And so she had a really difficult job in making sure that she presented everything clearly, concisely, in a way that the jury understood, make sure they understood the timeline, both of the events and his changing stories.
The prosecution relies on what Ferlazzo confessed to police, but the defense tells a very different story.
That's it. You're dead. That's what Joseph Ferlazzo now remembers hearing Emily say to him. And then seeing her start to pull her pistol out from under her pillow, because these are people who let the police put their guns under their pillows. He was afraid for his life, believed she was going to shoot and kill him. That's it. You're dead, she said to him. And he shot her twice in the head.
I think he made that up. I could certainly see Emily saying, that's it, I'm done. And I think that that probably is something she said or something along those lines.
The state opens with emotional testimony from Joseph Ferlazzo's sister, Nikki, who he and Emily had met up with in Vermont.
So I'm going to ask you some questions about Friday night, October 15th.
Okay.
Do you recall ever hearing the sound of a gun shot that night?
No.
She was virtual. She wasn't in the courtroom, but she's on the screen in the side of the courtroom, and from the jump was noticeably emotional.
I'm going to ask you some questions about the next day, which was Saturday. So you saw him at when you went to breakfast. Who went with you?
Me, Ariel, and Joe.
Did you ask Mr. Ferlazzo where Emily was?
Yes, but he just told us, like that she was just sleeping, or like a bad mood or something. So I didn't really ask any further.
Can you describe what his demeanor was like at breakfast?
To be honest, he seemed fine the whole weekend. I mean, obviously, like he did tell me, that they fought at one point, and that she ran off, but during breakfast, he seemed fine.
She was put in a really horrific situation by her brother, and the level of trust that she now really struggles with, knowing that she was so close to this and had no idea.
Ms. Ferlazzo, I'm going to pause for just a minute. It appears that you are having a difficult time. Is it, I'm just going to ask you, do you want to be doing this today?
No.
Are you here voluntarily?
No, I have to.
That really stuck out to me of like, wow, this case has impacted a lot of people. And yeah, her testimony was powerful. Having to fight through tears, certainly impactful.
Emily's mother also testifies, and during cross-examination by the defense, she makes some revealing statements about her daughter's marriage.
Did you ever observe any marks on her body?
Yes.
Did you ever ask her how she got those marks?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
The gouges down her chest, she said that she acquired them from their dog. The arm bruise, the handprint bruise on the back of her arm, she would not tell me where it came from. And then there's many bruises on her thighs. She said that they came from rough sex.
Then it's the defense's turn, and they call only a single witness, Joseph Ferlazzo.
I was a bit surprised to see that he was the only witness for the defense. I wasn't sure how they were going to attack that.
People that are painted into a corner will say and do just about anything because all signs and all evidence point toward his guilt.
Ferlazzo's lawyer begins by asking him about the early days of his relationship with Emily.
It was very magnetic, like we were stuck to each other.
Magnetic?
Magnetic.
You were happy?
I was happy.
Why?
We just clicked. I feel like we were both just kind of traveling the same wavelength.
What's the matter? You're looking a little...
Yeah, I'm feeling very emotional right now.
What's bothering you?
I miss her.
My impression was that he was acting, that he was self-preserving at every opportunity, and that he is somebody who is used to being able to talk himself out of trouble and talk himself into relationships and circumstances that benefit him, and that's exactly what he was attempting to do on the stand.
How did the rest of your relationship go with her?
Well, there was obvious flaws to the communication breakdown, and it started to spur arguments. Physical abuse started coming into our relationship, where she would go through my phone and then respond by beating on me.
What did you do?
I was shocked. It was the first time that I've ever seen that side of her. So, and then the punches started coming in, so I just naturally defended myself. I blocked the punches and I sort of find my way out of the chair, and she wasn't stopping, so I had to physically catch her arms, and I had to hold her arms by her sides until she sort of ran out of steam, just restraining her.
Did you ever hit her back?
No, ma'am.
Then, Ferlazzo gives his version of what happened after he and Emily met with Nikki and her boyfriend the night Emily died.
And what did you do after that?
Well, I made another drink, had some more to smoke. I asked Emily if she was interested in just going and having a kickback with Nikki and Ariel, and she said no.
What did you do then?
Same kind of thing, just continued to have some drinks. And it started getting dark, so I lit some candles, lit some incense.
And what was Emily doing?
She was scrolling away on her phone, on her device. And then at one point, she lashed out and started cursing at me about the candles being lit.
And what happened?
She got up and ran at me and grabbed one of the candles and it was like all I could do to like grab the lid of it and like put it on top of it, and she like pulled it away and started swinging it at me and hitting me with it. And then there was like a flurry of punches and kicks that she started punching and kicking me. It was minutes for her to run out of steam.
I was frustrated and plainly quite appalled when he stated the things that he did. He seemingly went out of his way to put every ounce of blame on Emily and take absolutely no responsibility or accountability himself.
What was Emily doing?
She was laying in bed.
So you take the Glock
Yes.
that already has the silencer on it, correct?
Yeah, it had a suppressor on it.
And what do?
I climb into bed, and as I'm climbing across Emily, like you have to like climb over her to get to here. So I was climbing over her, and she shouted off, and she like threw an elbow at me, and elbowed me in my groin, and I said, "No more hitting." That's when it happened.
What happened?
She said, "That's it. You're dead," and she threw her arm under her pillow, and she pulls her hand out with the Taurus.
I do not believe there was any chance that Emily slept with a gun under her pillow. Every person that I've talked to about her has said she was not a gun person. She did not sleep with a gun. I don't think there's an ounce of truth that she ever had a gun near her, accessible to her, or certainly in her hand.
How were you feeling?
I was feeling horrified.
Were you afraid?
I was terrified, and she wasn't stopping, and I was holding my Glock, and she started just like coming up at me, and I just fired.
Why?
She was gonna shoot me.
And you were afraid?
Very.
You fired twice?
Yes.
From my perspective, listening to his interview with police, he was never saying that because she was assaulting him, he had to kill her. His statement to police was that she had been kicking him and hitting him, and he had had enough. And that is why he killed her.
He didn't actually say self-defense until the trial. Now keep in mind, there are no defensive wounds, there was no other gun recovered, and there's no evidence whatsoever to suggest that this was self-defense.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your taped interview with the police.
I don't remember talking to the police. Like, I see myself on the video, but I don't remember being there.
You don't remember being there? You don't remember anything that you said?
No.
We head over into cross-examination. The prosecution's turn to question Ferlazzo, and this is where Deputy State Attorney Sally Adams really pushes the point.
You gave the police a very long account of what happened.
I watched the video.
And you would agree with me that based on that, you had a memory on October 19th of what happened on October 15th and October 16th and October 17th and October 18th.
I have no memory except for there was a memory about the like cutting into her leg with a knife and being sick over it.
Mr. Ferlazzo, you didn't cut into her leg with a knife. You cut into her leg with a saw. And you did this multiple times.
What did I do multiple times?
Cut her with the saw.
I don't have any memory except for, like I said, I have a memory of cutting into her leg.
It doesn't sound great when the prosecution starts getting up and asking you questions, and your most frequent answer is, I don't remember. Because you remembered everything up until a certain point.
And while you're involved in dismembering her, you decide that you're gonna stab her through the heart.
Did it say that on the video?
Are you disputing that Emily was stabbed through the heart?
That's what the autopsy expert said.
as his testimony went on, it's clear that he had told the story in detail to the police. But now, here at trial, in front of the jury, it's, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember. She just gave him enough to do himself in and stayed out of the way.
So, Mr. Ferlazzo, we can agree that you lie.
Yes, I have lied to people.
You're lying today.
About?
Everything.
And it was that mic drop moment where it was just sort of like, what just happened? You know, I didn't know that there was going to be any more twists and turns in this case until that moment where Sally Adams had called him out for lying on the stand.
In closing arguments, the prosecution and the defense make their final summations to persuade the jury that either Ferlazzo is guilty or not guilty.
Mr. Ferlazzo and Emily argued, and she told him she was done. She told him she did not want to be with him, that she could not do it anymore, and that she wanted to leave. Done arguing, Emily laid down in bed while Mr. Ferlazzo stayed up and stewed. He became enraged at Emily while she lay in bed scrolling on her phone with her head on her pillow. By this time, Mr. Ferlazzo has a plan. He's made a decision. He has decided that he needs to stop her, that she is not leaving him.
I think the prosecutor really brought it home in their closing. After they had all the witnesses in, after you had Mr. Ferlazzo's testimony, you could really understand what happened and why here.
This case and this crime is about ego. Mr. Ferlazzo's ego. And Mr. Ferlazzo's nearly 42-year-old ego being unable to accept his 22-year-old wife disrespecting him. We are confident that you will find that Mr. Ferlazzo killed Emily and that that killing was unlawful. There was no legal justification for it. It was willful, it was intentional, it was deliberate, and it was premeditated. And the state requests that you find him guilty of first-degree murder.
The defense takes a different tack in their closing argument.
What he told you yesterday is that over the course of their relationship, Emily had become physically abusive to him. The state would have you believe that he's an egomaniac. It's up to you to decide if you saw any evidence of that in his demeanor or his testimony yesterday, that he shot her because she disrespected him. He told you clearly about how many times she had hit him with objects, and he never hit her back.
They had bad facts and a really hard case to work with, and I think they did the best you can under the circumstances that they were given.
You heard him tell you, I was terrified. I knew she was going to shoot me. He truly believed that she was going to shoot him and that he had to shoot her with the Glock that was already in his hand in order to save his own life. That's what he told you yesterday. It's not what he told the police, but that's what he now remembers happening. What do you believe is the truth? What he told you yesterday or what he said to the police? I think that you will find him not guilty of first-degree murder and acquit him on the grounds of self-defense.
The defense really never had a shot at anything. There is no chance the defense attorney thought that there was an acquittal on the table.
I understand the jury has reached a verdict. Is that correct?
We have, Your Honor.
Are they going to find him guilty? Is there going to be one juror that believed the story? You don't know.
By the way, I hope that you guys know that it is really a privilege and a responsibility of ours to tell these stories. We don't take it lightly. And one of the reasons that we can keep on producing these shows is because of the support that we get from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Look, here's the deal. If you should get injured, America's largest injury law firm, that may be who you want in your corner. Listen to this track record. In the past few months, Morgan & Morgan secured a $9.3 million verdict for a car crash victim in Florida, a $5.6 million verdict for another car accident victim in Atlanta, and not to mention $1.8 million in Kentucky after insurance offered them a mere $5,000 in that case. And listen, even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not just start a claim and fight for the money you deserve? Seeing if you have a case can be done in 8 clicks or less. You don't even have to leave your couch. Also, their fee, absolutely free unless you win. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/primecrime or scan the QR code on screen.
How do you find Mr. Ferlazzo on the count of first-degree murder, guilty or not guilty? Guilty. So says the jury.
It was an audible gasp in that courtroom from Emily's family the moment that verdict was read. Certainly a sigh of relief that finally there was justice for Emily, something that they had been longing for years.
When Joseph Ferlazzo is sentenced, Emily's family and friends are there to talk about her impact on their lives and their tremendous loss.
This was finally the opportunity for us to show the court who Emily was and not who he is or what he did, but instead focus on Emily.
I first met Emily in 2012. She thought I looked like the star of the then popular movie Despicable Me. So to mock her mom's new boyfriend, she started calling me Gru. So I started calling her Minion. We used those nicknames daily up until her death. Emily was my minion. I was her Gru.
Joseph Ferlazzo took away my closest friend I ever had. Emily was my soul sister. Every year that I get older, it is the same day that my best friend, her life ceased to exist. I lost a part of my soul on October 16th, 2021.
Emily's mom appears on video.
I'm going to tell you about my beautiful daughter, Emily, and the impact her murder has had on me. She enjoyed friendships, singing. She could sing the socks off of any song she connected with. Painting, riding her bike, being a big sister, and dance classes. She will forever be 22, just at the cusp of adulthood.
Ending on her singing Hallelujah, I mean, I was crying, and I had already seen it, and I was still crying, and I think that my tears were simultaneously based on just the beauty of her voice and how young she looks and how the tragedy of losing her, but also the just tragic irony of the song.
The sentence of the court on the conviction for first-degree murder will be 42.5 years to life to serve.
He's already been in prison for 3.5 years, give or take. So he'll serve ultimately the 45 to life with credit for time served.
I'm happy with the sentence. Emily's family is happy with the sentence, which is enough for me to feel good about the outcome. I'm confident that it will keep him in jail for most, if not all, of his life, and that we will not have to worry about him committing an act like this again.
This case changed me for sure. I think about Emily. I've become quite close to her mother throughout this, and this is a case that I wouldn't wish upon anyone to have to be a part of.
I will never forget Emily. I will never forget Hallelujah. I will never think about that song again in the same way.
It's shocking enough for such a young woman to be murdered by her husband, especially at a time when they should have been celebrating. But for him to desecrate her remains so savagely, it's just difficult to fathom. But at least at the end of the day, he will be off the streets for a very long time. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always, stay safe.